Hey everybody, we are back. It's Two Dudes Review. I am Michael Eaton.
And I'm Zach Watson.
And we had just got back from Terminator Dark Fate. And this is the second in a row action film that we've seen. And also the second action film where a franchise comes to an end with Rambo Last Blood. But I gotta say, as an overall film, I think this is a little better than Last Blood, I think.
Probably.
But yeah, overall, this is a great thrill ride that if you're a big fan of Terminator and you love action films, you will love this.
Now, I can see where you're going on comparing it to Last Blood in terms of how it is as a movie, but the only difference I could see making that comparison fair is the fact that this one was more high-paced action from start to finish. The other one was building up the tension to show us what kind of trauma our hero had. Because our main heroes in this one, two of them, one has never seen any trauma before in her life because she grew up in Mexico. She had a good, comfy job. She was living with her family and living a good life. All of a sudden, she's being hunted by, new Terminators, by new history, new background type of stuff.
New Skynet.
Basically, you could call this Skynet V2 version 2.0, and it wouldn't change the plot. But we now see a new, pretty much Sarah Connor, the new I am sent to defend you kind of storyline. One has seen trauma all her life. The other has not. You also have it set up to where you get Arnold coming back, and you got Sarah Connor herself coming back.
Yeah, Arnold ought to be back.
The way I see this being better than Rambo is the fact that these movies are so well known for their action. Both franchises are. But this movie was more than just hey, our character is traumatized by these events, because one of our main characters that, in real world terms, would be traumatized isn't, because he's a robot who grew a conscience, who was taught by John Connor that he doesn't have to be a killer, but instead a defender.
Right.
While the other one is straight up, I am a human, and you're trying to attack my home. That's it. I'm getting my guns, I'm getting my knives, and I'm killing all of you. Until we see in Last Blood, oh God, all of these fights, all of these movies, everything he's done has taken a toll on him. So what's he doing? Fighting PTSD, fighting all sorts of other illnesses that he's had, whether mental or physical. Because of this, leading up to the whole final, all right, we're going all jigsaw on you guys for this final fight kind of deal.
That's true.
This one's more straight up, I've got metal arms, you've got a metal face. Let's see how many times I can punch you before one of us breaks.
Now, I want to retract what I said. In terms of overall action film, Terminator Dark Fate is better than Last Blood. But as an overall character film, dramatic film,
Last Blood has a beat.
Last Blood is better. But this, if you're there for strictly the action, this will definitely win you over.
This movie is by far one of the best action movies I think we've seen this year in terms of high-paced action.
Yeah. For me, it's second to War, which we saw last time. And just, I love that film.
War was surprisingly a really good film. Granted, it took a little bit for me to get into it, like I said in that review, strictly because I'm used to reading subtitles when I'm watching something if it's from another country. But I'm not used to going to theaters and watching a Bollywood film where in the middle of it, I'm in my head singing a song that I've never heard of in my mind, because all of a sudden I'm watching our main characters be like these oiled up, muscular hunks dancing half naked on a screen with chalk flying around them.
Right.
Only to then be shooting at each other 3 minutes later like something serious happens.
I guess that's part of the culture. But yeah, basically, overall, there are some retreads in this film. It's still a continuation of, say, Terminator 2.
Technically. In some ways, this is more like... This is a predecessor to the Terminator films as much as it is a send-off, because like Rambo Last Blood was a send-off to Rambo because of how that ended, and we're probably not seeing Rambo come back again.
Even though he's still alive.
He may still be alive, but we're probably not going to see him come back because he's wrapped up his story arc. He has wrapped up everything that we needed to know about the character for him to live his peaceful life that he's wanted. And now we had that here. The only difference is Sarah Connor is now with the new Sarah Connor. Now, for some light spoilers here, the way the movie builds it up is our new protagonist, our new Sarah Connor,
Danny.
stand-in.
Named Danny.
Her name is Danny. It's built up through the entire movie that she's supposed to be Sarah Connor. She's supposed to get pregnant and give birth to the one who will lead the resistance against Skynet version 2.0.
It's called Legion in this film.
Yep. But instead, it's later on switched around to where she's not the new Sarah Connor. She's instead the new John Connor. Now, for anybody who has seen the Terminator franchise and has kept up with it in all forms of media, you'll understand. Mm-hmm. If any of you don't know the Terminator lore, check this movie out.
Definitely check this movie out. And also go back to watch the previous films.
Now, the way that works, though, is there's a new kind of Terminator type. Mm-hmm. Only this time they're known as augments, because they're humans who have been augmented with the technology to basically have a form of endoskeleton to give them the enhanced strength and speed of a Terminator.
Right.
So we have an augment coming back to save present-day Danny so she can be future-day Danny, which in his own right is complicated like any other time travel plot.
That's true.
But when they meet...
It is easier to follow than Avengers Endgame.
Well, for that you'd have to watch all the Avengers movies in order.
Exactly.
And
I'm talking about the aspects of time travel in this universe.
But the way it works is, when they meet up with Sarah Connor, it doesn't feel forced. Mm-hmm. In other movies where they've teamed up with the original characters to continue on with the franchise and appeal to all audiences, it's felt forced.
Yeah.
Very, very forced.
And it doesn't feel right.
This time, it's natural because we have two characters who know nothing of Sarah Connor, who know nothing of the Terminators besides the timeline that the augment came from. Mm-hmm. Now, all of a sudden, they're in the middle of a fight, and here's this old lady pulling out a shotgun with a drum barrel and a freaking rocket launcher, fighting the other Terminator, only for them to steal her car and drive away,
right?
And then to be found again by her and find out, oh my God, you've been fighting Terminators. You can help us, even though you have your similar story arc of two people who don't get along until the very end of the movie because I don't like your style.
Oh my gosh. We'll get into that, but two things I really want to point out. One, the action in this is really good. Yes. Although the effects are noticeable, it's still fun.
It's a great one.
It's still fun. And two, Linda Hamilton, Arnold Schwarzenegger, just top notch in this film. I mean, obviously Arnold is very good at playing a cyborg, but here's the thing. I mean, light spoilers. This T8 Model 100 is very different from, say, the first Terminator film.
Easily.
Basically, he has learned to grow a conscience, which adds a lot more layer to the character, aside from, I'm looking for Sarah Connor, I have to kill her.
Which is funny, because when the way they built it up, in the trailer, you think he's going to immediately join the party. Like, this is some sort of RPG you buy on your console and play, and, my cast of characters is already completed by level 1. All right, cool.
I had the opposite thing. I thought that from the trailers, I thought it was just going to be like a 5-minute cameo.
See, I knew he was going to join the cast because they're not going to build up this big-name hero with this big-name franchise just to drop him off only after a 5-minute cameo.
Yeah.
I know some franchises have done that, but this isn't one of those franchises.
And it's been insulting every time.
Now, granted, when they bring him in, too, again, it felt very natural. Mm-hmm. When they did it with Sarah Connor, it felt natural because she just happened to be there.
Yeah.
Because, as she explains throughout the movie, whenever a Terminator appears, she gets a text as to the exact date, time, down to the very second, and location. So she loads up her weapons and gets her butt down there, and she's able to kill it because she was able to ambush it and destroy it before anything happens. Mm-hmm. But anytime she tried to figure out who kept sending her those messages, the encryption was so great she could never figure it out. Well, when the augment comes in and she reveals that she's got coordinates tattooed on her waist, what do? They go to where the coordinates lie. The coordinates reveal that the T-800, or Arnold, is the one who's been sending her those texts because when he grew that conscience by raising a son and taking care of a woman who had been horribly abused by her previous lover, he learned what he had taken away from Sarah Connor And he thought by giving her life meaning, by sending her the the locations and times of these Terminators coming to present day, he felt like he could give her some sort of purpose to make her feel like her son's death wasn't for anything besides like a bad mishap. That her son's death had meaning. And that adds more to the character than what you could ever expect.
Yeah, it adds layer to somebody who should not have any emotion.
Exactly.
Because he's a cyborg. He should not have any emotion. And yet, you can see by the look on his stern face, even though he looks like that the whole time, you can tell his emotions just by looking into his eyes.
It's almost like when they built the world of the movie and when they finally decided to land on this one, Arnold gave it his all. He really gave it his all in terms of everything that he could do to make his character, as fake as it's supposed to be, some real depth. Because his dialogue was great. The way he actually gave emotion without giving emotion was awesome.
Yes.
And it was the fact that, like all action movies, all your big name stars are always willing to do whatever it takes to finish the big bad of the film, whether they don't come back or not with any cliche. He legitimately does it. Not just because, it's my job, I said it, and, I'm movie hero cliche. It's the fact that he legitimately chose to. He states in the movie, I'm going to help you, defend this girl because I want to. Because I know what it means. And I know what it means to everyone else.
And not only has he evolved, but also Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor, she has also evolved. She has grown a strong hatred of Terminators. And yet, she also, at one point, it's in the trailer, she wants to kill Arnold. And yet, by the end, she sees the good in him.
I don't even think it's just the good in him. It's the fact that, all right, for context, in the trailer, you hear her say, once this is all over, I'm going to kill you.
And he says, I understand.
Exactly. Now, in context of it, when you see him, like when he's introduced into the movie, the shock on her face, you feel every ounce of rage that she has, because if you've kept up with this movie franchise and the lore, you know exactly what happens, and you know exactly, down to the last detail, why she is so angry and furious. To where when she's about to snap, she at one point, just out of nowhere, unloads 3 handgun bullets into his chest. All Arnold says after he looks at it is, well, that's going to be hard to explain to my wife.
Which did make me laugh.
Which was a bit of a funny line, a comedic moment to try to ease the tension. But it's the fact that he understands now what he took from her. And the fact that he has some sort of conscience to actively try and fix that.
Yeah.
Though there is no true way of, saying, hey, I'm sorry I killed your son, and getting the type of forgiveness that somebody would expect to get.
I love that you brought that up, because I don't hear him at any point in the film say, I'm sorry for killing John.
Because he doesn't. He doesn't say it at all. It's his actions that say it all. His actions say it because... Alright, another quick little spoiler. In the movie, he gets a wife named Alicia. She had a young son named Mateo. Her husband was going to end up killing her son, as well as continue to abuse her. So they left him. They found Arnold. Arnold and them they have no idea Arnold is a Terminator. They have no idea he is 400 pounds of hunky metal. Because their relationship was not physical to that type of point. It's instead, he was there for support. He's a good listener. He's caring. He's everything they need.
And he claims to be very funny.
He claims to be funny. But it's the fact that his gentle aspects that we see grow in him from the early Terminator films all the way to now have made him one of the most intimate men in action movie history without having to show him being a very type of intimate man.
Yeah.
So when you hear of him having a family and the fact that he raised a son who we do see in the movie and is a very well-raised son, like he's polite, He listens to his family. He's well-mannered. But he's also a very happy-go-lucky teenager in this movie.
He even calls Arnold Dad.
Exactly. So when you see how much he's truly changed to be able to raise a family, you know he feels incredibly horrible for killing John. Mm-hmm. But he knows saying, I'm sorry, isn't going to fix anything. It might instead make it worse because all Sarah has in her heart towards the T-800 at this time is sheer hatred and rage. Mm-hmm. Literal rage against the machine. Insert song joke here. But it's the way that the whole movie flows from there on. She doesn't trust him like in any other cliche action movie with buddy cop aspects.
But I love that you brought that up because you don't actually see them argue, but you do see her show strong hostility towards him, and yet he does nothing back.
Yup. Now, one of the climactic battles towards the end of the film, they're fighting the new evil Terminator in the back of a plane. And literally, when the other Terminator is flying another plane right at them, shooting, what does Arnold do while him and Sarah are shooting at it? He pulls her behind, like in front of him and turns around so that way she doesn't get shot. Mm-hmm. And her only reaction was, don't ever touch me. Then all of a sudden, when the thing crashes onto their plane and they're fighting it, knowing she has no hesitation in her heart to kill Arnold off because of her rage and anger, she doesn't. She had the perfect opportunity to blast Arnold's head off his head, like blast his head off his shoulders, and watch his dying robotic corpse fall thousands of feet out of the air onto the ground. Instead, she lets him get back up on the plane and keep fighting alongside him because she's starting to see and understand the changes that have made to him, the conscience that has grown, and his progression as a person and not as a machine.
I gotta say, this is a much deeper film that if we put it in that light. This is a much more thought-provoking character study than, say, a lot of action films that we've seen.
Well, action films are meant to be just joyrides. That's what Gemini Man was. Straight up Gemini Man.
That's what Gemini Man was, and that's going to be
That's honestly what War was, too. Just, joyride!
That's all War was, but they did it so differently than we do.
But that's because Bollywood is capable of doing it differently than we do. We just repeat the same crap because we think it's going to work all the time.
Unfortunately, it does not work all the time.
This time, however, it did work.
It does work. And I don't care what people at the box office say. I don't care what Rotten Tomatoes says. This is a good film. And it should not have gotten the box office numbers that it did.
See, you look at the numbers. I don't. I judge the movie based on how I like it. I could say I like this movie fine.
Majority of the time, I don't care about the numbers. I think the numbers are garbage. I think Rotten Tomatoes are full of shoot. I think it should be about us if we like it. And if fans like it. And if you like it, like it. Don't listen to what Rotten Tomatoes says.
You're about to put a lot of critics out of business.
I know.
Especially ourselves.
What?
Talk about how it's all supposed to be based on the customer's perspective. That's true, but you also have to think. Some of us critics are necessary.
Yeah, we're necessary, but it shouldn't always have to be about the critics because we're fans at heart.
I know, but
we're fans at heart.
The point we're trying to make is this movie's worth it. Mm-hmm. This movie is really worth the time and worth the money. It's a 2-hour and 15-minute film.
It doesn't feel it though.
No, it's similar to how Endgame is 3 hours long, but it feels like 15 minutes. It did to me anyway. But then again, I was also really hyped up when the music really started to amp up and you get your blood pumping.
What are your honest thoughts over the way things are going in Bollywood? Well, that's a good question, Noah.
Honestly, I cannot answer that one because I don't know exactly what's happening in Bollywood.
I don't know either.
So that's probably going to be a question that we'll have to wait until a later time when we can maybe cover that as a topic video and do some research to get some sort of education on it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to be controversial.
All I know is that they do things way different than American Hollywood does.
Now, I got to say, from the few little bits of Bollywood we saw in the trailers, I wouldn't mind doing more Bollywood films in the future.
No.
And if any of them are like War, you can guarantee I'm going to end up watching some Bollywood films on my own.
I'm still kind of iffy about their idea of comedies.
Well, then again, different cultures, different ideas.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I'm up for something new because I like all sorts of comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I like my sitcoms. I like my stand-up comedians. I like the comedians that don't work but do.
Right.
To a degree, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I like my comedy to be a mix mash of everything. Like, I even like a little bit of dark humor.
Dark humor is fine as long as there's some form of misery. Something that everybody says is all comedy is based on misery.
Right, and that's honestly what we saw in one of those Bollywood trailers. All right.
We'll talk about this really quick. Then we'll go back to Terminator Dark Fate.
Before we get too far off topic, when we did our review on War, we talked about the trailers, how the trailers were so out there. And one of the trailers was, at one point, a group of 3 guys standing around talking about something, how each of their wives that they are married to is their wrong wife. That one guy's wife is supposed to be another dude's wife, and that dude's wife is supposed to be that, and back and forth like that. Like, oh my God, we're reincarnated people of the past, but we married the wrong women. And that's kind of a funny thing because the misery is they now have to convince their women to switch husbands.
Basically, it's a reincarnation comedy.
Which is something that has never really been seen a whole lot here in America.
No, I can't think of one.
But according to the name of the movie, it's a movie that's honestly still been going on in Bollywood.
It's like a 4th or 5th one.
4th one, I think it was. But that also means, honestly, there's a lot of potential there for a lot of different things.
So yeah, guys, if you liked our review of War, we'll definitely check out more Bollywood stuff.
Now back to Terminator Dark Fate.
Yes.
That movie is well worth your time. It's action-packed, it's fun, the characters can be fun, the story can be convoluted, but it's also simple.
The characters are likable, you understand all of their motivations, it's easy to follow, it doesn't just throw a whole bunch of exposition at you like a lot of action films try to do nowadays. It's just a good, fun thrill ride like Zach said.
Plus, watching the effects of the new evil Terminator, I honestly don't remember the name of the model that it's supposed to be.
I just called it the second T1000.
We'll call it T1000 V2.
Yep. You're welcome, bud.
The T1000 V2, watching the special effects of that thing is so cool because 1 minute you just see some superpowered dude running up towards you at supersonic speeds. 2 seconds later, by the way, here's my robot skeleton attacking you now while I'm over here fighting so-and-so. Or like in the cool epic shots where you think, all right, our little Family Guy chicken fight of the next 10 minutes is over. It's dead. All right, we'll watch it come back and we'll question how later. No, instead you watch it, literally just get up as the goop that it is, mold into its human form, and it'll walk somewhere. Like, all right, I guess I better start walking to find my next way to find the, target. And here's his exoskeleton walking right into his body to merge. And it's just one of the most satisfyingly amazing things I have seen in an action film to date.
Yes. It doesn't... What I like about this, well, it does do some things over the top. It's not insultingly over the top like, say... I'm going to get a lot of crap for this, but some of the previous Fast and Furious films.
I can't really say whether or not because I don't watch Fast and Furious.
Yeah, if you see...
Oh, sorry.
It's all right, man.
Sorry, I was... came here to pray.
Oh, sorry about that. We'll get out of your way, bro.
Well,
I mean, you're good. What are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing our film review of Terminator.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
It's good.
very good.
Very good.
What do you think the best part about it was?
Definitely
Easily during the climax. It's got some of the best character arc completions, and you really get to see all the characters come into their own in terms of how the series built them up.
Oh my God, it's so cold outside.
It is.
Just wait till winter hits, buddy. It gets worse.
Really?
It's gonna get way worse.
Are you not from Illinois?
No, I'm from Florida.
Oh,
I've never
God.
seen
Oh,
snow.
God help
you're in for a treat. You'll be in all of
Yes.
our prayers.
We will pray for you.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I've
Because
never...
we wish we were in Florida right now.
Yeah, no, I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Oh, I hear that's beautiful.
Yeah. I like to surf, but like not. I don't know. I've never I heard like snowboarding is kind of like surfing.
Mhm.
It is, but only with snow, so frozen water.
Yeah, it's true.
I've never seen like.
You've never seen snow?
No, is it so? If I got snow, I don't know. The other day, my family they'd never seen like autumn leaves and stuff because Florida. So I took an autumn leaf and I sent it to them, and some people were thinking that was funny, but I was like, I don't know. I hope it didn't break in the mail though. But
It might have.
you think?
Maybe.
The autumn leaves can be pretty frail.
Seriously, man, I was trying to
Now, granted, depending on how soon you sent it, it probably isn't that frail, so you might get lucky.
Man, well, what about snow? Do you think I could send? If I
No.
really, even if I put it in a ice pack lunchbox or something?
No. It'll melt before then because the ice pack would give out, and even then the insulation would eventually give out on the cold. You'll have to send them pictures and videos, though, because
Man.
it can be bad, but it can also be a blast.
Right.
Well, what's your favorite part about snow?
My favorite part about snow is honestly the fact that you can make a surprisingly delicious dessert out of it.
Like,
Snow ice cream. I used to make that when I was a kid all the time with my mom and dad. What you do is you go outside.
You go out, you actually grab the snow.
Okay,
put
you
it
don't
in the cone?
you don't want to use the snow from the ground directly. What you want to do is you want to get a bowl out there, and when you know it's gonna snow, set it out there before the snow starts. So by morning you'll have collected fresh, uncontaminated snow. You'll bring that inside and you'll add a few ingredients to it, mix it together, and you can legitimately make snow ice cream. It's honestly one of the best aspects to it.
But isn't snow just like water?
It's basically cold water
So,
frozen over.
That doesn't taste good then. It's just ice.
No, it tastes pretty good.
I wouldn't.
I do it.
Do you put salt or something on it, or
I'd have to find the recipe that I used, but yeah, you actually put things into it to make it more of an ice cream consistency. And then based on what you're putting into it, you can make it, strawberry, chocolate, vanilla.
That's whack.
I'll have to come back and
Whack to
make
me,
it
man.
for you. It is great.
You
I
have to
know
show
what
us,
ice
show
cream
us
is,
that.
but-
All right. Well, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, let's wrap this
All right.
up.
Oh,
Sorry.
what do you wait?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
it's
I'm
live
sorry. You guys
streaming.
live?
We
Yeah.
were live streaming,
Oh
dude.
shoot! I'm so
Well,
sorry.
Oh, no, you're
No,
fine.
it's fine. Plus,
I-
plus, because of you, we got more comments. So.
Oh really?
Oh, boy.
yeah.
Well, anyway.
Oh, Eric's want to know when's the second part of the Kanye album review. That'll come up soon, brother. Probably,
dude, that album.
probably Wednesday.
Hallelujah!
Wednesday.
Maybe.
Hallelujah!
It's good. It's good.
Hallelujah! Hallelujah!
See, you both have listened to it. I've only heard one song on the album. But till then, guys, I'm Zach Watson.
And I'm Michael Eden. And definitely check out Terminator Dark Fate. It's definitely worth your time.